Talking with Paul DeBryan with AgStar Financial Services. And Paul, thank you for giving us your time here today.
No problem. I look forward to it.
All right.
Good to see you again.
First of all, your position, of course, with AgStar Financial Services.
President and CEO of AgStar Financial Services. Will have been for 25 years come January.
Wow. So we're talking to a man here that can help us out with some of our questions. I guess the economic outlook is where we'd like to go. First with the grain business, with the grain producers.
Well, it obviously looks very bullish right now, and I think the thing that we got to keep in mind though is that we are so reliant on exports, and we saw what happened. I mean, I've been around a while. I've been in this business almost 35 years. I saw what happened in the late 70s with an embargo, and a lot of this ends up being, our markets are impacted by geopolitical forces, and so we got to keep an eye on that. Is that we cannot over-assume what will happen, but everything right now looks very bullish given the strong exports for grains, and it looks like that given the number of people are being born every day and the number of people we need to feed, and the desire of many economies to improve the quality of life and their food supply, it looks good, but things can change quickly.
With the world, the global population growing, you touched on that a little bit with the number of people being born. More people, more food is needed, and that's definitely having an impact on all aspects of agriculture. Talking about the grain, let's shift to swine industry and the economic outlook there.
Well, again, I mean, exports are a big thing, but I find it interesting. 2 years ago, we were talking about this, H1N1, people called swine flu, and yet within the last couple of weeks, McDonald's is featuring the McRib sandwich. And so if you go to restaurants and whatever, is that, pork is very much a featured meal today. And yet 2 years ago, we had this scare that was, totally unrelated to the swine industry. So things change. But, right now, again, exports are as strong as they've ever been on the swine side. Again, things look quite strong.
All right, before we wrap up the interview, I have to touch Paul, on renewable energy. That's a big deal.
Yes. Right now we have 204 ethanol plants producing ethanol in the United States, about 13.2 billion gallons. Looks like, we got about 16 plants right now that are not operating because of technology and where they're located. Probably won't come back. I think the plants we got in place probably get us to the RFS standard of 15 billion gallons by 2015. I find it interesting that we're exporting ethanol to Brazil. I mean, who would have thought that? And so, again, it just reinforces we're part of a global economy. Commodities are going to move to where markets are. Right now, margins have been consistent in the 5 to 15 cent per gallon range. People are servicing their debt, they're paying down debt. Ethanol industry looks quite solid right now, and there's a high correlation between the price of corn and ethanol. It continues. And at least right now, things look quite stable.
You touched on, you find it interesting that we're sending ethanol to Brazil. Don't they produce their own?
Well, the problem is because of the sugar prices in the world, they can easily convert, sugar cane from, for the purpose of sugar versus ethanol. And right now, it's more favorable for sugar, and that's what they're doing. Right?
Interesting.
So, and it's, it's the way the world's going to be is markets will find themselves based on economics, and we need to be prepared as farmers.
Paul DeBryan with us with AgStar Financial Services. Paul, we thank you so much for your insight on everything. For KXRB Radio in Sioux Falls, I'm Mark Tassler.